Morgan Birmingham, and on Rome today, we will be interviewing 3 historical figures. Our special guests are Caesar, Cicero, and Octavian. Cicero plays a part in Caesar's life because they are not too good of friends. They are both very competitive against one another. Julius was a general, and Cicero was a philosopher. Octavian was Julius's adopted son. Antony, Caesar's assistant, made an alliance with Octavian and they ruled Rome's provinces together. In January 49 BC, Caesar and his army crossed the Rubicon River in order to declare war against his enemy Pompey. Pompey fled to Greece and soon enough controlled all of the Italian peninsula. He defeated Pompey in Spain. He defeated his other remaining rivals in North Africa 2 years later and then returned to Rome. In 44 BC, he declared himself dictator for life and he flaunted his power. This turned many in the Senate against him and they decided that they would assassinate him to solve the problem. A few days later, before his murder, Spurina, a fortune teller, warned Caesar about danger at the Senate meeting on March 15th. When he entered the Senate, he was worried. He saw Brutus, who was one of his friends, to be one of his attackers. He called out, "Even you, my child," and within moments, he was dead. Julius died with 23 stab wounds on March 15th, 44 BC in Rome. And here today is Cicero. Explain your life to me.
Hello, my name is Cicero. I'm a philosopher and a public speaker. I called on upper-class Romans to work together, limit generals' power, and make Rome a better place. I want to restore checks and balances on the government. No one listened to me, and the government didn't change. Many people didn't agree with me. Meanwhile, generals like Julius Caesar were trying to take over. When Julius Caesar declared himself dictator for life, I responded by saying, I see no reason for being alarmed except the fact that once departure has been made from the law, everything is uncertain. When Caesar declared himself dictator for life, his action was in direct violation of the principles of a constitutional republic. Julius Caesar was not happy with my speech, and I had to flee Rome for my life.
Okay, so what problems plagued Rome in the 70s BC?
Rome during the 70s BC was a dangerous place. Politicians and generals went to war to increase power. Even though political order broke down at this time, there were riots and people throughout the republic flooded into the city. There was a lot of confusion at this point between the people from the republic, war, and riots to restore power of the tribunes.
How did Caesar become so popular?
Caesar became so popular because Romans admired his bravery and skill in battle. Between 58 and 50 BC, Caesar nearly conquered all of Gaul. Other than being a strong leader, he was a fantastic speaker, winning many Roman supporters. The Romans liked Caesar so much because he promised to solve the problems within the republic if he could. The people of Rome wanted to see him in power so all the problems, crime and taxes, could be fixed.
Explain the relationship between Caesar and the Senate.
The Senate saw Caesar as a threat because he marched into Rome and didn't follow any rules. The Senate thought Caesar would become king of Rome. This is when he declared himself dictator for life. Caesar once said, if you must break the law, do it to seize power. In all other cases, observe it. This quote is saying how Caesar was willing to break the law in order to gain power. I knew Caesar not very well, though. After this, I did not really like Caesar because he came off as a threat.
Thank you. Now here are 5 Roman achievements. One of the achievements that came from 50 to 40 BC is the buildings. Romans invented concrete. They used it to build buildings like the Colosseum and underwater port facilities in Israel. Concrete is still used for architecture and many building projects today. To add, Rome needed more fresh water as cities grew, so they built aqueducts. An aqueduct is a channel which fluids flow through. They led aqueducts from the area of water to the cities. This is an accomplishment because aqueducts are hard to construct, considering Rome didn't have many pumps. They had to be placed at constant gradient for miles and miles, which is very tough. The laws that the ancient Romans created are still used today. The Romans admired art and they copied architecture from the Greeks. They were known for their mosaics and paintings. Romans created frescoes. A fresco is a plaster painting. Many Roman mosaics and paintings are well known today. Rome was the home to a lot of the greatest authors of the ancient world. Virgil, who was an author, and wrote a great epic of Rome's foundation. Ovid wrote poems about Roman mythology. They also produced dramas, speeches, and history that are still watched and enjoyed today. We're going to stop it. Now, our second guest here today is Augustus Octavian.
Hello, thanks for having me on Rome today.
Tell us about yourself.
As many of you know, my name is Augustus Octavian, but when I was born, my name was Gaius Octavian. Many said that I was a very good-looking gentleman, but it's true that I was short. I was cruel when I was young, but as I got older, I became more mild. I was the first sole ruler of Rome. I learned a lot from a man named Caesar, or my uncle. Yes, it's true, Caesar is my uncle, but I am also his adopted son.
What was one of Caesar's qualities that made you respect him?
Caesar is amazing. He taught me so much. I respect him for so many reasons, but if I had to pick one, it would be his ability to problem solve. Before his rule, the city was pretty chaotic and had many problems. People were hungry, taxes were too high, people couldn't find jobs, and crime was everywhere. He talked to the people about their problems and promised to solve the problems if he could. That's one thing I respect my uncle/father for. Caesar once said, "I came, I saw, I conquered." Not only did I respect him for problem solving, but also for how fast he was at solving problems. As this quote proves, he likes to get his work done fast.
Now, how did the common people react to Caesar's murder? What did you and Antony do?
Well, really, the common people's reaction was no surprise, because Caesar was so amazing. They all loved Caesar, so of course they were upset. They started riots and started burning things. After my uncle/father was murdered, Mark Antony and I set out to avenge Caesar. After hearing about his murder, this is what we decided to do. In other words, we set out to kill the killers of Caesar. We did eventually catch up to them. We killed all of them that we could find. The other ones eventually committed suicide. In my opinion, the killers got what they deserved. Caesar was amazing. I can understand why everyone was upset. I know that I was devastated.
Who was Mark Antony, and what is your relationship to him?
Oh, Mark Antony? Well, we used to be close. We worked together. We went together to find Caesar's killers. Of course, we were successful. We were a great team. Yes, we were to rule Rome together, but he is a traitor. I despise him. I still don't understand how he could do this to me. Anyway, back to the point. He married my sister, which I was fine with, but then he divorced her for the Queen of Egypt. I couldn't believe that he left my dear sister for Cleopatra. It was disrespectful and an insult to my sister and I. The Civil War broke out in Rome. He deserved to die. He did. I was to kill him, but he eventually killed himself.
Tell me how you ruled, and what are your accomplishments?
Yes, I won the fight and I ruled Rome. I think I was a good leader/ruler. For one, the Senate loved me. I gave them my power. They changed my name to Augustus, or Revered One. One thing that I am known for is joining Caesar in battle against Pompey's sons. I am also well known for avenging Caesar and killing the maniacs that took his life. Oh yes, I began the Roman Empire. That's one of my best accomplishments. My last accomplishment for today is I made Rome much better by building new buildings. Well, I guess one more. I did create the first standing army. Thank you for having me on the show.
It was much appreciated. Now here is an overview of the Pax Romana. The Pax Romana was peace of Rome. It was the main event of the Roman Empire. It ended when Marcus Aurelius died in 180 BC. There were so many achievements during this time because it was peaceful. There was no wars going on during this time, and there was peace within the country. Horace, Livy, Ovid, and Virgil started the golden age of Roman literature with Augustus in power. Augustus' ruling started the beginning of the Pax Romana. During this time, roads and bridges were built and aqueducts were created. And our last guest here today is the ghost of Julius Caesar.
Yay, go Caesar!
Welcome. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello everyone. The name is Caesar, Julius Caesar. Caesar was born on around July 12th or 13th BC. Caesar is the descendant of the chosen prince Aeneas and his Mother is Aurelia. Julius's father died when Caesar was only 16. Caesar stayed close with his mother. Caesar's family was far from rich, even though Caesar hailed from Roman aristocrats. Around the time Caesar's father died, Julius married Cornelia, daughter of a noble.
Now, who were Pompey and Crassus? What happened to them?
Pompey and Crassus were Caesar's allies. Pompey is a great military leader, one of the greatest in Roman history. Crassus is a Roman politician and a member of the First Triumvirate. An alliance is a formal agreement or treaty formed between two or more leaders to cooperate in specific purposes. I wanted to form an alliance with these two because they were powerful and they were the most influential men in Rome. Caesar became very popular and Pompey and Crassus became very jealous. In 50 BC, Pompey's allies ordered him to give up his armies and wanted Pompey to rule alone. I refused. Caesar led his troops back toward Rome. They then crossed the Rubicon River, and there was no turning back. Pompey and his allies fled Italy. They didn't think they could defeat my army. Of course they couldn't. It's my army. Pompey was killed by orders of the Egyptian king.
Now, how did you become dictator for life?
Caesar was a great general. Many people admired me for my bravery and skills in battle. Caesar's troops respected him for treating them so well. My military success made Caesar a key figure in Roman politics. Caesar was a great public speaker. This won over many supporters. Caesar had an alliance with two of the most powerful and influential friends in Rome. Julius Caesar became really popular, and his friends became very jealous. Pompey's allies in the Senate commanded that I had to give up the command of my own army. Of course Caesar refused, and I led my troops toward Rome. Caesar and his troops crossed the Rubicon River, and Julius knew there was no going back. Pompey and his allies left Italy, but Julius Caesar's army chased down Pompey's troops for years. My army finally beat Pompey in 48 BC in Greece. When Julius came back to Rome in 45 BC, I made myself dictator for life.
To finish off, tell us why you're remembered in Roman history.
Julius Caesar conquered many lands. Caesar was a huge part in Roman history. Caesar marched into Rome and quickly took over efficiently by force. I gave money to the poor, and the poor loved me. Caesar also gave many powerful speeches, which won over many supporters. Caesar also conquered Gaul, which is modern-day France. Caesar was a very successful ruler, and he did very important things to be remembered. One example would be when he crossed the Rubicon River, and he fought with Pompey and his allies, and won. He then declared himself dictator for life. Julius Caesar was important.
Thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, Caesar is so interesting.
Lastly, I'm going to finish off the interview by explaining the quote, "All roads lead to Rome." This quote is an idiom that means there are so many ways to achieve a goal, but they're all going to end with the same result. In Italy, all roads led to Rome, although their provinces were very different. Roads are used today to travel from one city to another.
Thanks for watching Rome Today.
Thank you
Toodles!
guys for joining me.